on 9.7 and worldwide on ja.com. Our mission is to amplify diverse voices and opinions, inform, educate, entertain, and engage listeners of all ages and lifestyle while promoting responsible community development. Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music.
Destigmatize, the Western Regional Health Mental Wellness Radio Program, right here on Fit FM 96.7, every Thursday at 6 p.m. Destigmatize, to raise mental awareness and reduce stigma and discrimination through education, discussions, and highlights. Join us for lived experience interviews, to learn from the experts, for the Brainwaves Educational Focus segment, and Your Time, where you get answers to your questions. With host Dr. Lisbeth Crossman, psychiatrist. So join us every Thursday at 6 p.m. for Destigmatize on Fit FM 96.7. Brought to you by the Western Regional Health Authority, Department of Memphis.
It's just what I seek to find. Oh yeah, I ain't in the mood. I just need some solitude. Where are you now? When darkness seems to end. Where are you now? When the world is crumbling. Oh, I hear you say, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, where are you now? When all I feel is doubt. Oh, where are you now? When I can't figure it out. Oh, I hear you say, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, look up. You're not threatened by the war. You're not shaken by the storm. I know
You're in control. My, welcome. We're right here on Destigmatize on Fit FM 96.7. And we want to tell you that it's so good to have you here with us as we look at some issues from week to week on a Thursday from 6 to 7. And we look at how it is that we can raise the awareness to mental health issues. We also want to look at how it is that we can change how persons think about persons who may be living with an illness, how we ostracize them, how we take them out of community, how we do all manner of them, that we can look at our policies and sort of end the discrimination that we have against our own brothers and sisters. So we are right here on Destigmatize. We want to welcome our listeners from Facebook, Friends Who Love Fit FM, YouTube, fitfmj.com, or you may be online on radio with us at Fit FM 96.7. I'm your host, Lisabeth Crossman, psychiatrist from the Western Regional Health Authority. And we want to say to you that you want to send us a shout out, want to make some comments, want to send a question, just WhatsApp us at 876-478-9144 or 876-311-1991. So let me go again. It's 876-478-9144 or 317-1991. It's 876 before that. So welcome. Today, we are going to have a special guest because we're going to be looking at those persons who have dedicated their lives, I might say, probably I'm wrong, to raising some of these issues of mental health, or as it relates to mental illness. And in the sense they advanced the journey, as I would call it, in terms of the development of our mental health services. We have looked at some persons in the past, but this person is extra special because he came from Kingston to the Western region to help to develop the services. And we want to especially welcome him this afternoon. We're going to be speaking with Dr. Frank Knight, renowned consultant psychiatrist. Welcome, Dr. Knight.
Hello. Hello.
You're hearing us clearly, sir?
Um, I can hear you. It's not terribly clear. Terribly right.
Great. I'm glad that you can hear us, and we can hear you quite well too. Welcome to Destigmatize, sir, and
No,
we're so
that was
glad.
not at all clear.
And
Not at all clear.
it was not clear. Are you hearing us clearer now? Is it a little better?
Just about.
Just about. Okay, so we will see how we can get it right as we go along. But welcome, sir, to Destigmatize, and we're going to be talking to you because I know that you have done a lot of work in health in general, but also in the Western region. So I want to start first, Dr. Knight.
I can out what you're saying.
Right. I'm not so sure what's happening. But are you hearing us any better?
I heard what you said this time.
Right.
But maybe it's because I knew what I expected you to say.
Oh no!
I don't think that the reception is particularly clear at this end.
Right. So is it? Are you hearing me now?
I can hear you a little better now.
A little better. All right.
Maybe we should both resolve to speak slowly and as distinctly as we can.
Not a problem, Dr. Knight. Is that better?
I can hear you now.
Great.
Is this Dr. Sure.
So we are welcoming you to the program Destigmatize, and we want to talk to you, sir, about your journey in mental health. We want you to walk with us through how it is that your academics, how you became a psychiatrist.
I heard you say that you want me to tell you about my journey in mental health.
Right.
After that, it was not distinct enough.
Okay. All right. So we want to please start as to how you entered medical school.
How I started psychiatry in the mental health.
No, started from university. How you entered university? Do you think we should hang up and call him? Yeah.
All right. I happened to grad. My first medical qualification was in Dublin, Ireland, and I happened to be working in England, in Britain. The idea came to me. I had always been attracted to psychiatry.
Okay.
And the idea came to me to start training, which I did. And
okay.
My training started in Edinburgh,
okay.
Scotland.
Okay.
I was there for about 4 years.
Okay.
And then I moved down to Cambridge
okay.
in England.
Okay.
And I was there for about a year and a half.
Okay.
And then I, just about that time,
yes.
that was in the middle 1950s.
Right.
Just about that time, the University of the West Indies, the medical school, most of the medical school was in Mona.
Right, right.
And the Department of Psychiatry was fairly recently opened,
Right.
and I was accepted and offered an academic job as a lecturer in psychiatry. That
Oh,
was by the then Professor Michael
Bo
Bobron.
Brown. Okay.
Some people will have heard of his name, and some may not. But
Yes.
that was back in the late 1960s.
Okay.
And I've been in Jamaica ever since.
Okay. All right. Where are you originally from, Dr. Knight?
Can you say that again, please?
Where are you from originally?
Oh, I'm originally from Trinidad,
Okay.
another English-speaking Caribbean. I'm originally from Trinidad.
Okay. Okay. But you're Jamaican now. Am I? Is that to be understood?
You'll have to say that more slowly and more
Okay.
distinctly.
Are you Jamaican now?
No, this is not
Not
good.
clear. Okay.
Now I noticed that you're calling me on my Digicel number,
Right.
which should not.
Right. We are hearing you very clearly.
You are hearing me clearly.
Very clearly. And
Yes,
even
I
even
don't
on the
hear you
broadcast
clearly.
itself, it is very clear. You are very clear. But you are having a
Maybe you will,
problem hearing us.
maybe you will have to speak more slowly
Okay,
and
I will
more
try.
distinctly.
Yes, I will try that again, sir. So,
Oh, yes.
so perhaps we could just say you came to Jamaica and you started at the Department of Psychiatry. After that, how did you get involved in community?
I don't think that I personally, individually, got involved in community psychiatry because already it was recognized and it was being recommended that that the thrust, that psychiatry should pay more attention to community. Started off, of course, psychiatry started off, of course, with mental hospitals,
Right.
and in most countries there were large mental hospitals. I think when I first came here in 1968, at Bellevue there was just the one mental hospital, Bellevue Hospital, which of course is still there. But at the time I came here, there were 3,000 patients at Bellevue Hospital.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I would say that part of the reason that
Yeah.
they have been able steadily to reduce the number of inpatients at Bellevue Hospital, I would say that part of that is because of the availability of antipsychotic medication. Part of it would be because of the actual awareness and the trust that people should not go into a mental hospital and stay there forever. So the psychiatrists were already aware that we should try to treat people without them being admitted to mental hospitals.
Right.
You follow?
Right. Yes. Yes, sir.
And then, of course, came the idea, which was being propagated, the idea that people, even with psychiatric disorder, and these would be the acute psychiatric disorders, like the
Yes.
psychoses and ganja psychosis and schizophrenia
Right.
and bipolar disorder, which manifests itself mainly as depression. The idea was being accepted
Yes.
that people even with psychiatric disorder was being should be treated in general hospital beds, in acute hospital beds.
Right. Right.
Because as we would say to the students, or I would, of course, that there is no difference between psychiatric disorder and any other medical disorder. And they would dutify and yes, there is absolutely no difference. And I would then say to them, and of course, we've been telling you lies because there's a great deal of difference between psychiatric disorder and ordinary medical disorder. And I think we still preach that to them. I think that it isn't that there is no difference.
Mm-hmm.
What it is nowadays is that we have more facilities. We have people on the acute wards of the general hospitals who have got some experience in
Right.
psychiatry. So I don't know how many people agree with me.
Right.
But there we are.
Okay, okay, okay. So, Dr. Knight, I would love to know, in that era, that movement.
Now
Are you hearing me?
your voice. Hello,
Yes, sir.
I can hear you.
Yes. In that era of the movement from the mental hospitals into the general hospitals,
Yes.
how could you say the persons were accepted of this movement, or were there challenges that were happening at that time?
Oh, it required effort,
Right.
and I wouldn't say that it was uphill, but it did require effort because, as you can imagine, if you have somebody with, say, a heart attack in
Mm.
one bed,
Right.
he is relying with or you can understand there would be res of this. It was done, and a good training of the staff that was in it was done, and the support by team psychiatrists by eventually in succeeding in putting psychiatrists into the general hospitals as well. This helped because it meant that the staff had the support of
Okay.
somebody who was experienced in mental health. Let me see if I can look back. I do not think we have there's type A hospitals and so forth and other. But as I look back, there were not any psychiatrists. Certainly not Spanish Town.
Okay.
Certainly not Montego Bay.
Okay.
Certainly not Maypen
Right.
or Madrid.
Yes.
There were no psychiatrists
Right.
or
Right.
nobody in mental health
Yes. Sir.
assigned to those hospitals.
Okay.
Nowadays,
Yes.
I believe we probably take it for granted that any hospital will have mental health trained
Services.
people
Mm-hmm.
and would have
Okay.
people like mental health officers. Also,
Okay.
think of the mental health officer. And a mental health officer, of course, is a nurse who is a psychiatric trainer
Yes. Yes,
with
sir.
special extra training.
Right.
And I believe that when I first came to Jamaica,
Yes.
there were probably no more than little over a dozen
Wow.
mental health officers.
Right.
I believe that we now expect that each parish, I'm not familiar with the figures, but I wouldn't be surprised if in each parish we don't have more than three. If we shouldn't have more than three, so we have a lot more
Right.
mental
I
health
think
officers.
the
There's a lot more.
yeah. I,
Plus,
th- I think the figure is Dr. Knight that the proportion is about one, should be about one in every 200. So that's one nurse per 200 clients.
for every 200 clients.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
of course. Now, who's recommend? I'm wondering whether that is the WHO recommendation.
Well, not necessarily. It is more the international nurses conference, or whatever their title is. Forgive me, but they had actually recommended one in every 60
Well,
clients.
of course, we take a lot of our ideals
Yes, sir.
from WHO.
Right, we do.
And
We do. But
I think that
unfortunately, they don't make some of these recommendations.
sorry, say that again, please.
Unfortunately, you won't find some of these recommendations
Yes,
because of the culture and the demographics, all of those factors, the epidemiology that needs to be
yes,
considered per country. So,
yes.
yes, we have some
I,
challenges there.
I would think that in trying to apply these recommendations,
Yes,
we
sir.
should, of course, take account of the
Definitely.
circumstances, the particular circumstances of every country. You know,
Definitely. Definitely,
um,
sir. Definitely.
and I think that we do recognize that it's some time before we can really aim to that. You know, it's a question of course it's a question of resources,
Yes.
and it's a
Yes.
question of the number of people who will come forward for training.
Definitely.
You know,
Definitely. And also we have to look at the persons who may retire, persons who may leave, the attrition rate, and we have to also look at remuneration as well, is what is one of our biggest challenge right here in Jamaica.
yeah, we have of course to look at attrition and make provision for
Hmm.
overcoming attrition.
Definitely.
But I would say that
Hmm.
everything taken into consideration
Yes,
and
sir.
considering where I wouldn't like to say where we started because we didn't start when I first came to Jamaica. We had Dr. Royce and Dr. Cook and
Yes.
Dr.
Yes.
G.O. Williams, as
Yes.
I remember, psychiatrists, 4 trained psychiatrists
Okay.
in Jamaica
Okay.
when 4 or 5 when I
Right.
first
Okay.
came here.
And they based mainly in Kingston.
Sorry, can you say that again,
They
please?
were based in Kingston.
They
These
were
four specialists, they were working Kingston.
yes, so they were. And
Okay.
if something, excuse me, if you had a psychiatric disorder in Montego Bay,
Right.
you had to be sent to Kingston to be seen.
Oh,
Nowadays, this seems a bit ridiculous.
yes.
You would never think of it,
Mm-hmm.
and you wouldn't really want to go to a country. But I would say that our situation then,
Mm-hmm.
there are still countries in the world that have got that are as poorly served by
Okay.
mental health, you know,
Yes.
mental health professionals that
Yes.
are as poorly served as we were in those days. We had come quite a long way.
Okay. 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 And I needed to ask you, Dr. Knight, how did they transition? How was the transition accomplished, moving from mental hospital into the general hospital? Were you a part of that movement, moving into or coming,
You're asking me about mental health officers in general hospitals.
or the psychiatrist in the general
Yes,
hospital?
well, this was always our aim.
Okay.
It was always our aim to make mental health facilities available
Right.
in general hospitals.
Right. Right.
I'm 100% of obviously in favor of that.
Okay.
Where I sort of hesitate is in preaching to people that there is difference between the disorders.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the goal always was a mental health presence in every hospital.
Right.
There was,
Right.
let me see now. At the time that Cornwall Regional Hospital was opened,
Mm-hmm.
I was asked to go there for a couple of years. This was
Okay.
in 1974, which is a
Oh,
long time ago
it is.
now.
It is,
That's
sir.
half a century ago. But I was asked to go there, and during the time that I was in Cornwall County,
Yes.
I was the only psychiatrist, and I would say that my the population was about over 300,000 people. So you
Okay.
had one psychiatrist for
Yes.
300,000 people,
Yes.
and we may have had about 7 mental health officers.
Oh, okay.
You know,
But
meant a lot of traveling and
what?
long hours. It did work out.
Okay.
Of course, this is your area now,
Yes.
Dr. Crossman. Have you got an idea of what the population is that you serve?
It's almost 500,000. We consider all the parishes, with
yes.
St. James having the highest, followed by Savannah Lamar, Westmoreland rather, Westmoreland. But what I needed to ask you, because you mentioned that you came
Sorry,
in.
the reception is getting a little poor. Can you say that again?
What I needed to ask you, that when you came in 1974, the services, were they developed as yet? Had they started seeing clients in the Western region, or is it that persons were still being taken to Kingston? What was happening at that time?
Sorry, can you repeat that, please?
So the services, the mental health services, had they started in the Western region, or were persons still having to carry their relatives to Kingston?
Well, there were services because there were mental health officers. There were mental health officers, but there was no psychiatrist.
Okay. Okay.
And the mental health officers did what they could.
Right. And were these services then concentrated in St. James, or were we talking about all parishes in this region had the mental health officers?
There certainly was a mental health officer. There were, I think, 2 mental health officers in St. James, and I think that there was one. I remember there was one in Westmoreland.
Okay.
Actually, I see St. James, but for St. James and Hanover, there were 2 mental health officers.
Okay.
And of course, we had to stretch ourselves eastwards to Trelawney, and we covered St. Elizabeth and I can't remember whether we covered some of Manchester as well. But we certainly covered Westmoreland.
And St. Elizabeth.
St. Elizabeth.
Okay. And you would come every month. What was the time period for your coming?
Sorry, you'll have to say that again. It's not clear at all.
You were coming how often for clinical service? How often were you coming?
Well, I was based in so we're going back to 1974, which is 50 years ago, and I was excuse me. I was based at Cornwall Regional Hospital, which was a brand new hospital with an entire floor, the 10th floor, devoted to treating people with psychiatric disorder. But I would travel to Trelawney maybe every 2 weeks. I would travel also to Lucy every 2 weeks, and to Westmoreland and Sadler Lamar probably every month, and to St. Elizabeth about every month. It was a lot for one person.
It was.
But it was done. And actually, this would not have been doable without the fact that we had some excellent, some very, very experienced mental health officers.
Yes, sir. I agree with that. Totally. But Dr. Knight, from your recollection, were we in terms of 10th floor? Why was that chosen?
This reception is poor. You'll have to see that over again.
The 10th floor. Why was that?
The 10th floor at Cornwall Regional.
Yes. Why was that chosen as the as the ward for persons requiring treatment for mental illnesses.
I'm not sure that I can give you an answer. Of course, the 10th floor was the top floor.
Right.
It was barred in, of course, so that made it safe. Maybe that was the way. Maybe that was the furthest they could get us from the rest of the hospital. I don't know I'm not quite sure who did a lot of the thinking.
Yes.
I'm not sure where the thinking was done.
Yes.
That went into the organization of services at Cornwall Regional Hospital.
Right.
And but the 10th floor was the psychiatric. So there were two wards, the west and the east. And from my recollection, each was meant to admit as many as 25 patients. One side was male and one was female.
Right. Yes, sir. That was it. So perhaps I could ask you then, if you were to look back at the mental health services. You mentioned that they were in, embryonic stage. You were developing, and we have come quite a far way. And you were to look at what's happening now. How would you describe, probably, or look at and say?
If what was happening now?
No, if you were to look, ask to give us, describe what you would say the state of mental health is.
This is not, you're not coming through clearly, I'm afraid.
The state of mental health for the country.
I think that mental health.
This mental health. How would you describe
mental health? What, do you mean mental health or mental health services?
Mental health for the country. Yes, given your wealth of experience.
I don't know that there can be a particularly authoritative answer to that, because as long as human beings exist,
yes,
and as long as we have brains,
yes,
and as long as you never know what is going to happen in your life. When you're 20 years old, you know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
When you're 21, and when you're 51, you don't know what is going to happen when you're 52. So we are always, every single day, we are always called upon to make adjustments. So about mental health, I think that our mental health, or our, if you can call it mental health or adjustment, emotional adjustment, it will always be challenged. It will always be challenged. There are far more complicated things. When we look back 20 or 30 years ago, we like to tell ourselves that life was very simple. But for example, you asked about mental health challenges. Something that didn't exist even 20 years ago was, for example, the social media.
Right.
And the fact that young people, teenagers and other young people, do a lot of their socializing online using the social media.
Right.
So they are, instead of being praised or bullied or induced or molested in person, we are now being praised and bullied and molested online.
Yes.
And as you know, there are people who are induced to harm themselves because of their online experiences.
Yes.
So
yes, sir.
whatever advances we manage to secure for ourselves and our species, I do not think that the challenge of mental health will ever really go. I think that mental health challenges are part of being human. I don't know. What do you think, Dr. Crossman?
Well, I hope you can hear me very clearly, Dr. Knight. One of the things, are you hearing me clearly?
Oh, it's gone again.
It's gone again. I think one of the challenges that, and you have alluded to one of them, but when we look at, are you hearing? Yes, you're very low too.
I think that I would like to take advantage now, right at this point, of mentioning that two of the people that worked with me at the regional hospital
Right.
in the very early days in the 1970s. One of them is a Norwegian doctor
Okay.
called Dr. Jan Mo.
Okay.
And I believe that in Montego Bay,
Yes.
you probably know both of his sons. He has two sons now who are working in Montego Bay.
Okay.
So that's Jan Mo. And I believe that Dr. Mo happens
Dr.
to
Mo.
be in Montego Bay just at this moment, although he moved to Canada. The other person is Dr.
I'm sorry,
Rochelle Greenfield.
Dr. Knight.
Greenfield.
Dr.
Hello,
Knight.
yes.
Is that Dr. Mo that you said?
Sorry.
Dr. Mo.
M-O.
Mo. Okay.
You have his son Frederick. One of the sons is called Mr. Frederick Mo.
Okay.
And yeah, I believe he's a builder.
Okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
you probably.
Okay. No, I
The
am
other
not aware
person
about.
who works with me is Dr. Rochelle Greenfield.
Okay.
He is American.
Okay.
And she is a clinical psychologist.
Okay.
And they both continued. Dr. Greenfield continued, and Dr. Greenfield is actually one Jamaica and is resident in Jamaica, permanently resident in Jamaica.
Okay.
So that is just by chance.
Okay.
Three of
Okay.
the people who
Right.
did start,
Right.
who did develop, not start, but who the mental health services
Right.
in the
Cornell
in St.
Regional.
James are still around.
Right. Okay. All right. Thanks for tonight. It's very good to know the history because we don't write it down a lot of times. And so we don't know who were the persons who were significant contributors to the development of
What did you say about the local person?
What was that, Dr. Knight?
Oh, you said something about the local person.
No, I was saying that we do not write down our history. And so we are not knowledgeable of those who have made.
I guess in my head, I do have a fair, and you're probably right. It should really be recorded. But
yes.
you know, another person who has done well in the West
yes.
is Professor Wendell Aber.
Definitely.
Because he worked at Cornwall Regional Hospital
yes, sir.
for a couple of years.
Yes, sir.
Before he came back into Kingston and
right.
and became an academic.
Right. Yes. We have a lot of us and social workers there in the initial stages.
Yes. And we may have had a couple of, but the people who were very good and they helped us a lot in mental health were the public health nurses.
Oh.
My personal reaction is that whenever I see the brown uniform
yes.
of a public health nurse,
yes.
I feel reassured
okay.
and I relax.
Okay.
Because I don't know how my health,
yes. I agree. Yes.
Experience of them.
Okay. So Dr. Knight, even in us trying to set up a service, we were actually utilizing the health workers from the different areas of the health field.
Did you say you are trying to set up a service?
No, even I'm saying that when the service was being set up, we were utilizing persons, different individuals, health field. Because you mentioned the public health nurses.
We were utilizing people who were not formally or were not recognized as having had mental
health training. Yes.
But being competent, the competence that they possess in the areas of expertise seemed to spill over.
Yes.
And became very valuable in our area.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Definitely. What about your work with, were you able to partner with persons outside of hospital, or was it that it was very busy for you?
The people who what?
Partner with persons outside of hospital, the stakeholders, other
Inside the
stakeholders.
hospital. Did you say inside the
Outside,
hospital?
outside, outside of the health
Talking about
field.
the persons outside of the hospital.
Yes, the
Do you mean staff?
stakeholders, stakeholders,
Sorry,
stakeholders, different stakeholders,
I didn't get that.
different stakeholders.
Oh, stakeholders.
Yes.
Now, when you say stakeholder, what do you mean? Do you mean a person who comes as a client, or a person who contributes as a staff member? I'm not quite sure what you mean by
O-
stakeholder.
Okay, so when we're speaking about mental health in community, other community members, churches, your schools, probably somebody contributing. Yes.
Sorry.
Probably other persons who may contribute in terms of volunteering themselves, volunteering
Oh,
things
I
for, right.
um, well, I don't know. It is possible that um, I would say possibly we didn't consciously
Mm-hmm.
reach out a lot, but of course these communities and services
Mm-hmm.
are there anyway. They constitute a part of a part of our community. You know, there are people like the police,
Right.
there are people like the law courts, there are
Mm-hmm.
these are sections of the community, of course,
Mm-hmm.
which contribute to the and you haven't said it, but it is quite possible that you're aware that their contribution is often under-recognized.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I agree, sir. I agree.
Again, Dr. Abel Montego Bay, I know that he made a very good communication, certainly with judicial system,
Mm-hmm.
and he had very good contact with people like the judges and the magistrates and many of the attorneys.
Right.
I'm aware of that. He made very good use of them, and he contributed because there's another thing, which is that I think in any community,
Right.
the psychiatrist and the legal profession, we do different things and we talk different languages.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it is always necessary, certainly very desirable, if the lawyers and the mental health people can be in close communication. We talk a different language, and we often see things differently, you know.
Yes. Yes.
And the same for the churches. The churches provide a tremendous amount of support and help for people who, well, for all their congregations, but certainly for those members of their congregations
Right.
and those sections of their congregations who have any sort of mental health disorder. Would you not agree?
Definitely, sir. Definitely. I was going to add to that we also need to not only consider those individuals, but also what about the advocacy groups? I don't know if yes.
Yes, well, each I'm perhaps getting out of my field, but I would say that each community, each area
Yes.
will have its own advocacy group. I mean,
Yes.
here in Kingston, where I live now, we have lots and lots of advocacy groups.
Mm-hmm.
There's one group that actually myself belong to,
Okay.
and we call ourselves Mensana,
Yes.
and our aim is to provide mental health support
Right.
for individual people who are themselves carers of people with mental health disorder.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. Yes.
And of course, and advocacy groups, and then there are groups who focus on children who've got
Right.
autistic spectrum disorder,
Yes. Yes.
and then there are that focus on people who have to look after
The
people
carers.
with dementia, the
Yes.
different kinds of dementia,
Right.
because there are lots and lots, some degree or some form of dementia who
Right.
need looking after.
Right.
And these are areas
Mhm.
and areas that we can start
Right.
in sense of
Yes.
contributing what our expertise allows us to contribute,
Right.
without
Right.
moving in and taking over.
Right. True. Yes, I agree with that, sir. I wanted to turn your, because we were speaking about advocacy, about your thoughts on stigma, and what are some of the practical ways that you think we could use to reduce discrimination? Yes.
With high profile people and celebrities
Yes.
and people who are recognized as being royal,
Mhm.
there is a lot more open talk
Mm.
about
Mhm.
mental health adjustment and
Mhm.
mental health disorder.
Mhm.
There is a lot of talk about it. I am not sure.
Mhm.
I'm not sure to what extent this reduces the stigma.
Mm.
And if you think, that we have stigma in Jamaica, you go to a country like India,
Mhm.
and in India, um, although there are psychiatrists,
Mhm.
it is the stigmatization of anything to do with mental health is so far greater than we are accustomed to in Jamaica.
Mhm.
You know, even in Jamaica, there are people who hold back, but you will find that if you know of employee assistance programs,
Mhm.
you will find that nowadays in Jamaica, some of the big corporations are beginning to acknowledge
Mhm.
that on a day-to-day basis,
Mhm.
their and workers and members
Mhm.
will have something go wrong in their adjustment.
Right.
And several of them have been setting up employee assistance programs.
Mhm.
I know that the government of Jamaica, the Ministry of Health,
Mhm.
now provides counseling and for acute things like acute stress and bereavement and so. I
Mhm.
know that you can ask the Ministry of Health in relation count. Do
Um,
they recognize it?
recognize the EAP.
They I believe that how this started. I believe it may have started the thing of employee assistance programs. It may have started in the United States
Mhm.
with um, with the with the big films releasing, but
Mhm.
when it came to things like alcohol
Mhm.
and drug abuse,
Right.
in just bring
Mhm.
people instead
Mhm.
of just separating people who still have problems with drug abuse and alcoholism, they realized that it was probably more cost effective to provide some kind of mental
Therapy.
health or psychological support for
Mhm.
them.
Mhm.
And I'm told that this is the origin of the assistance program.
Right. It is.
Um, the bauxite programs did this in the United States, and our bauxite programs, our not
Right.
programs, our bauxite services here have done the same.
The challenge, though, Dr. Knight, is that you have to be employed to access some of these programs, and this may not go well.
Success of the program.
What was that? Pardon me? What was? Could you repeat?
Sorry, say it again.
You went low tonight.
Sorry,
Yeah, I was. The challenge is that some of our clients may not be employed, and so to access those programs would
oh, I
be
see. Oh, yes, yes, of course, yes.
right.
Naturally, one condition that you need to be employed.
Yes.
You need to be employed by the particular corporation.
Yes.
But of course, some of them will stretch the offer. Some of them. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Oh yes. Some of them will offer their services. They will offer services to people like relatives of of employees. I know that this happens.
Okay, that's very good to know. That's very good. One of the things that we have found with stigma is the labeling, and when persons are labeled, then they are not given the opportunity to be themselves. You went low, Dr. right, night, but aren't given the opportunity to be themselves. And because of that, then they are, there are a lot of things can happen to them. And that's what I'm speaking about.
What you're trying to communicate is the perception.
Yeah.
I want to go over it again.
Okay. I was suggesting that when we talk about stigma, to who sometimes are and they might have that challenge in terms of work, but there are those who are unemployed, and because they have a mental illness or are living with a mental illness, they the benefits of being. They are not allowed to enjoy the benefits of being a human being.
The benefits of the service provided. Oh, yes.
No, of being human, of being considered a part of community, because they are labeled.
A part of the community.
Yes, because of the labeling. So, right.
Yeah, well, that happens. That happens. Human interaction is subtle.
Yes.
And have lots of we've got lots of sections and so in our human relations. But it's not I don't know whether we will ever, to what extent we will ever penetrate what I would call the population at large. Take for example the United States. The United States,
right,
is the richest country in the world.
Right.
Canada is also extremely well off in terms of resources. But I think that it is often easier to get, from my experience.
Yes.
I know that it can happen that you can more easily access mental health services right here in Jamaica than you might in the United States or Canada. That might sound strange.
Right.
I mean, I've been into mental hospitals in both those countries.
Yes.
And I don't know that they necessarily treat their clients in any more advanced way than we do.
Okay.
They may have a lot more professional staff.
Yes.
They may be brimming over with social workers.
Wow.
They may have the recommended number of psychologists to so many patients.
Right.
But I don't know that they necessarily get any better service.
Right.
And in terms of stigma, people are still
Mm-hmm.
very hesitant to come
Yes.
forward
Okay.
and pronounce that they have
Yes.
some sort of mental health or
Yes.
adjustment problem. I
Yes.
mean, as you know, recently we have, and I think that one of these people, I think that there is a senator, somebody in the lower house of the United States
Mm-hmm.
or the Senate, who
Mm-hmm.
recently checked himself in to a facility and announced publicly that he was doing it because of his depression.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
this will happen with certain figures,
Yes.
but I don't know that it will happen as a general rule.
Right.
You know, if
Right.
you are a celebrity, you can say and do anything, and it won't affect your celebrity status.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Mm-hmm.
these people that we are tempted to envy, I am
Mm-hmm.
not so sure that they do that much better than we do, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not so sure that they're that much better off than we
Right.
are.
I think
You
though.
know,
Yeah.
I was mentioning India, and
Yes.
the stigma is in India. In fact, I can say to you that we've had doctors from India working here in Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
and this isn't, it's not a matter of revealing a confidence, but I have
Mm-hmm.
had one of our doctors from India whose relative in India
Mm-hmm.
needed to see a psychiatrist. And
Mm-hmm.
rather than have it was such an embarrassing thing to have his relative see a psychiatrist in India, that
Right.
he paid for her to come all the way over to Montego Bay so she could
Oh.
see me. Would you believe that? Talk about stigma. It doesn't really get much greater than that.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know what your experience is.
I think one of the things about stigma is not just about persons being declaring their status, but how they are treated when they enter into some of our health facilities, and
Some of them have to ask.
how they are treated when they seek help themselves, delays their recovery, the issues as well.
Yeah, and of course, it depends on what you call treatment. Treatment can be anything from being compulsorily admitted to an inpatient facility.
Mm-hmm.
It can be admission to a detox facility.
Mm-hmm.
It can be medication with antidepressants or other drugs, or
Uh,
it can be counseling.
right, but
All of these things
yeah,
constitute
yeah,
treatment.
yeah. No,
And
I was actually speaking about the initial approach. How are you, sir? Good afternoon. Instead of go sit down over there, sir. Sorry, my vernacular, but I'm speaking about that treatment,
so you're talking
the acknowledgement of the person as a human
about how
being.
we treat our clients.
Right, right.
Well, yes. My observation is that we have quite a lot to learn in that
Yes,
respect.
yes.
This isn't only in mental health, but like, for example, in our public facilities, our health centers.
Right, right.
As I have experienced it, the
Mm-hmm.
standard approach is to give everybody an 8 a.m. appointment,
Mm-hmm.
and some people sit and wait until 1 o'clock in the afternoon before they're
Yes,
seen. I'm sure this is what.
yes, sir.
Um, I don't know that anything different prevails. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it has changed from the time I stopped working in the public sector.
Mm-mm.
But and our manner, I agree with you. Our manner towards our clients, yes,
Right.
of course,
Mm-hmm.
there is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's a lot of education needed, education of our clients,
Mm-hmm.
but also, if I may suggest it,
Yes,
education of our
doctors, medical professionals.
staff,
Yes,
our mental health staff,
and
not only mental
medical,
health,
and
but all our
medical.
staff.
Yeah,
This
medical
is
professionals. Yeah.
this is
Yes.
it's a socialist a cultural thing that
Mm-hmm.
perhaps we are not, our outward manner
Yes.
is not as welcoming
Yes.
as it is
Yes.
in other communities, other countries.
Right. Right. Doctor.
Oh yes, I agree with you.
Yes. Dr. Knight. Are you hearing me, Dr. Knight?
I beg your
Are
pardon.
you hearing me?
Oh, I can hear you. Yeah, more clearly now.
Oh, excellent. And guess what? We have to wrap up now because we are running. We have actually on the brink of the time cutoff period. But I really want to thank you, not just for being a part of this program, but also for your significant contributions to the development of mental health here in Jamaica. I really want to thank. What was that?
And they haven't tapped my facilities and my brain. But it's been very good of you. Thank you very much for inviting me to have this discussion with you. And whatever more I can contribute, I will, of course, be very gladly contributing. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you, sir. And we'll have you on a better line next time so that we will flow a little, better, right? But I really want to thank you. What was that?
All right.
I didn't get that, Dr. Knight.
Agreed.
Agreed. Okay. But really, really thank you for your service, sir. We can't even begin to speak about what it is that you have in the mental health services, and we really want to thank you. We want to thank our listeners for being on board on Fit FM 96.7 here on Destigmatize, those on YouTube, those on Facebook, who are on Fellow Fit FM, and those who are on our radio station. We were speaking with Dr. Frank Knight, and Dr. Frank Knight, former consultant psychiatrist at Bellevue Hospital, and he continues to work consultant psychiatrist. He worked here in the Western region in the development of the mental health services, and we really want to salute him for all that he has done to develop the services here in the West. We want to thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again next week, Thursday at 6 o'clock, where we continue to destigmatize. All the best for this evening. Thank you, Madam Producers, all those who celebrated any special days. We wish you all the best, and we look forward to see you next week. Remember, there's no good health without good mental health, and we continue to say, there but for the grace of God go I. So have a good rest of your evening. Until we meet again, please keep safe. And we close out as always with my favorite Rondell Positive. We can change the world. Just you and me takes. Bye-bye. Watch me change the world, cause the change lives within me. The answer's in the mirror, the mirror, in the mirror. Oh yeah. Answer, mirror.